My daddy used to always say, how happy would you be if you didn't know how unhappy you are? Happiness is, I mean, what a great thing that, I got to be honest, I don't think we take enough time to celebrate it. And we are always focused on being that, but yet we don't recognize how much of that we already possess. Hi, Lori.
I love that. You're right. We get caught up in the making of happiness so
The
much. We're always
acquisition.
making instead of being happy.
Ooh, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lori, let me start out by saying, like and share, check into Strong Island. They allow us to do this, and how nice that is. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. So, Lori, as we talk about happiness, and we spent a little bit of time, and we almost got into a couple of little topics that were certainly not taboo, but certainly charging. You know, they certainly charge people. It seemed like a really good time to turn around and talk about happiness, because I think one of the things that seems really important to me is defining happiness, because a lot of what I see, and this is not for anybody in particular, and perhaps it's me included, but we want to exercise our definition of happiness. We want to put that on the scale. And with that, we want to weigh others' interpretation of happiness. And the truth is, we left off, and I don't want to get into it because it is a very personal decision. But even talking about like abortion, some people they're so upset, and then they're like, there were so many people that were so impossibly happy when Roe v. Wade was adopted. You know, the decision in that case, when it was adopted, people were overjoyed. They were so happy. That's their definition of happy.
Right, right.
So, and that's okay. I'm not going to validate it or invalidate it. But happiness, I mean, Lori, what would you say? What would your words of wisdom be in being tolerant and understanding that happiness is respective?
Well, I guess I think there is kind of a universal happiness, because I would argue that if
What is it?
one moment, I would argue that, like, if somebody says, oh, something went my way today, I'm now happy, I would say that's not happiness. That's pleasure's not happiness. Something gives you pleasure, that's not happiness. That doesn't mean happiness can't be pleasurable, but pleasure by itself or satisfaction is not happiness. It runs a little deeper than that.
You ever seen me on a Harley?
But happiness is a state that you reach and you remain in. You know, it's not fleeting.
So permanence.
I do think, I think the level of happiness people have is kind of constant. Not to say moods come and go, feelings come and go, situations come and go, but people are generally as happy as they are is pretty much where they remain, unless they do some deep inside work to increase that, or they completely neglect the inside work and it decreases. So, I mean, I think for me, happiness is having a kind of harmony with your heart, your spirit, your mind, and it's being in tune with what our nature is and being true to that, being in line with our true nature. And that's when you have a positive inner spirit, I guess you could call it. I don't know.
Okay. Why don't you give us an example of what all that verbiage means? What makes you happy?
What makes me happy is
beads.
my experience inside of me pretty much lines up with what you see here right before you. It's not a whole lot better. It's not a whole lot worse, because it's exactly, well, I can't say exactly, that's always a work, but whatever you see of me morally is probably where I'm at inside. I don't try to act a whole lot more moral than I am inside. I have work to do. I admit that. And I think it's that balance, equilibrium between the inside and the outside.
I've known you a long time. Does a good glue gun make you happy?
It gives me pleasure.
Man, I'll tell you what, I've seen you skipping down the street with coming from a yard sale, and you found a cachet of beads.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we speaking of, we will be there with all our beads and everything, and that could even be a sign of unhappiness at times, I think.
Okay.
But it's having all our faculties directed the same way. So when the beads are in the same moderation as everything else that I want on a kind of a deeper level, and has a real good meaning in my life to what my aims are inside and outside for myself, that's pretty happy. When I have more beads than I need for that, it might show a little imbalance, a little dent in the happiness.
You were prepared for this topic without.
No, I didn't know you were going to ask about. How would I know you're going to ask about beads?
I'm just saying, deep inside, you were prepared for this. These are all excellent answers.
I spent a lifetime preparing for your antagonism.
I prefer shenanigans.
Yeah, your shenanigans.
Okay, so now let's go back to do you consciously carve out time for the happiness in your life?
Living well is happiness. So it's in everything.
Back up. Do you consciously carve out time for the happiness in your life?
No, I used to. And part of happiness comes from, I guess, the technical term, if you can remove all connotations that people hate, is virtue. So it's something that you work at, but sooner or later that work becomes just who you are. Like you talk about the mechanical beginning. So a virtue it starts mechanically as kind of a habit that you try to achieve. So there was a time that I used to write in my calendar when I had really busy days, but I always kept 5 minutes to just sit and think. And what I could think of in that 5 minutes of clarity superseded the whole day, or if I had a whole lot extra time. And then there was a time when I would, you pray at night, and then you try to extend it, and slowly you can make these things just become as natural and normal to continue unending as, well, not unending, but without stopping as much as you can depend on your heart to beat, where it's just very natural. The thinking, 5 minutes to just kind of think in a way where you're like, I just have open horizons. I know that sounds like a little out there, but that's kind of what happiness is. And little by little, it becomes just your normal functioning. What do you think of happiness? It's not situational, right?
I think it's I wish I knew more. I feel like we should talk about Steve, because Steve was such a part of the last two shows. No, I apologize. 3 shows back, he joined you for 2 episodes. And Steve, for those of you that don't know, is not just a doctor, but he is a proficient doctor, and he is a happy doctor. I say this because his happiness is directly linked to his craft. Success in caring for people is not the but a primary source of his happiness. That's amazing to me, because his is like outwardly, it's like, what can I do? What can I do with these hands? What can I do for others that yield, financial security and bring me, are a contributing factor to absolute happiness. Wow. I admire that. And I feel small because when I think about myself, when am I most happy? Well, I'm most happy when I'm camping or tinkering with some type of contraption, a motorcycle, a car, some I'm doing something. But what, so selfish, like I'm happiest just all alone and isolated. And I guess I wish that happiness was for me like it is for Steve, like that it was service work.
Right, you're happy when you go to your puppy shop and tidy up after the puppies. That's when you mark that as one of the happiest moments in your life.
But it's short. It's like but again, I think that's I mean, that's a great way to look at it. You make me feel better about myself, but that's still, it's like, it's me. It's not like giving. That's you say it's not altruistic. It's self-serving.
Right, but I think happiness is something that kind of comes through in all of our activities. When this past Mother's Day, I woke up, I was still tired. I thought I should still be sleeping, but instead I was sitting in front of breakfast. I was in Florida with you. And you came in and said, "You ready? We're going in the very hot and humid weather. We're going to go exercise. We're going to go work out." And when it first kind of landed on me, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. But I was resigned to it because my thought at the time, I'm being honest with you, is that okay? I don't want to hurt your feelings, but at the time my thinking was, I don't have, Mother's Day is for moms with living children. And so it was kind of pessimistic of me. So I was like, so I was resigned to, this is what I'm left with, is to just go be dragged along exercising. When my feet are kind of swollen and stuff from a lot of traveling, whatever, so be it. And inwardly, I felt a little reluctant, to tell you the truth. And we walked, and you were so happy. And which I found kind of more annoying, to tell you the truth, at first. But as I started to walk, there was kind of a clearing that happened. I'm sure some of it's endorphins or whatever. Part of it was too just being there in the moment. There was not another choice except to do it, because I was kept there with you in that. Okay. And little by little, it was like things started, like visually looking more clear. I had more clarity about me. I could see the edges of leaves a little sharper. Started noticing where the water was, the kids, more aware of the laughter, of even the humidity, and that would normally be uncomfortable. But all of it, as we did lap after lap after lap after lap, I realized this has got to be one of my happiest Mother's Days I've ever had. And it went from that to there's no better way I could have spent my Mother's Day. There's not a happier way anybody could have laid this day out for me. So just in that, like when I say happiness sometimes comes from repetition. And I'm thinking of this as we go, kind of like at lap by lap, that repetition, it took doing it in a reluctant way, a couple laps, quietly reluctant. I didn't outright refuse to do it, but lap by lap, it became less work, and I was able to see past it not being my idea. I had no idea what I would do anyways. and it was beautiful. And I think that's the gift of that we get from being together. And also, I do think that I have a propensity for kind of happiness anyways, to tell you the truth. But happiness comes, it's not situational, because that's not the way that I would have orchestrated that situation. And it was one of my happiest days I've ever had. Right?
That's a really nice, that's probably, that's the nicest thing I've heard.
But it was, and the other thing is, you were so happy and enthusiastic, like just that big old ridiculous smile of yours. And you had enough enthusiasm, more than that the enthusiasm I probably found more offensive than the physical act of walking. It was an assault on how I woke up. You know, somebody's enthusiasm in your face, and you're like, but happiness is also contagious. And I think that's why when you're happy, it should be expressed, and expressed repeatedly for other people. I don't think you should withdraw because they don't seem willing to join you. You know, you go by somebody in the morning, good morning, they don't answer you. You pass somebody you pass every day on your walk, at work, whatever. Good morning, good morning. I'll bet you by the end of the year, every day you say good morning, it becomes a regular thing. It is contagious. People cannot withstand forever. And it's because you have, first of all, like I said, you've opened a horizon they maybe didn't know was there, but it happened. And then there is a happiness in it. Once a person is within that space and within that activity, there is happiness, because your soul just kind of falls in accord with the moment and the activity. And that's a happiness. You're content in that, whether or not your intentions were to be from the start.
I think one of the things, when I think about happiness, we've talked for a lot of different conversations, and we've talked about inventory not so long ago.
Right.
When I think about inventory, I think that is a synonym for benchmark.
Okay.
And you say like, oh, now I'm going to tell you something that I think about you. You tell me that, oh, you were so happy and big goofy grin and this and that. You know why, Lori? Because I remember when you had broken your back and you were in bad shape. You had some other injuries that were just, what's the word? Unsavory. Unsightly. They were bad. And if that was the constant, if that became the benchmark for happiness, which was just literally a dulling of the pain, was enough to bring happiness into your world, what would the rest of your life look like? But we tend to move the goalpost.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Because at that point...
Is there something else I can help with?
That's Siri, not me.
At that point, you literally, you couldn't find comfort on your back. You were unable to lay on your stomach. On your side would jeopardize healing. And this is an otherwise athletic individual. So literally, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just to be spared, not even pain, but just to be spared agonizing pain was cause for happiness.
Right. And throughout history, there's plenty of people in pain that are quite happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think of...
Right. That's why I use the term, just a dulling of the excruciating pain is enough for happiness.
Culturally, I want to point out, among Hispanics, the best tamales, tortillas, many dishes that I have come from Hispanic women, much older and in the throes of excruciating arthritis. and they will sit there through 200 tamales because it makes them happy. How can you explain that? How can you explain that? Your hands
Again,
are
it's service work.
Oh, maybe perhaps it
because they're not going to eat 200 tamales,
right?
But their loved ones are,
right? But
and to see what
you see that same big grin like what you had, and they're so happy, and you know they're in pain, and their feet, their ankles are bigger than they started that morning, and they finish it because and they've taught us through that that's a happy act, right? We have that association so strong. Or for you see people, maybe roasting chili. It's way too hot to be doing it. And there they are the whole day, doing something over and over.
So, again, I think it's the definition is going to be something we talk about for a little bit. Defining, because when I first moved to South Florida, and I remember coming here, and I was unfamiliar with the lay of the land, the people. I would say culture, but this is more of a melting pot, so I don't really want to say culture.
Oh no, it has.
I should say cultures, plural.
Yeah.
And I used to think to myself, how is this possible? How can people have how can they have worked hard and gotten to a place where they can now enjoy, sit back, relax? And it seemed like everybody was miserable.
Yeah.
Fighting, it's kind of like when you go to the mall. You've got some money in your pocket, you're able to buy some gifts for your loved one, and they're fighting over parking spaces, screaming at each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it hits me. But maybe that's what makes them happy. Who are we to define it? Maybe that's what they like. I don't know. That's not me, but that doesn't mean that doesn't do something for them. Maybe they just like the interaction, because without that, they'd have no interaction.
Right.
I don't know. Come at me, Lori. Bring it.
Well, I think happiness is somewhere a little deeper than even our behavior. So maybe there, and I don't think happiness is captured in just moments or acts. I think it's an underlying state of where you are, and it is lasting. And I think if people are happy only when things are going their way, or only when there's particular activities, distractions, or something like that, I would question whether or not that's true happiness. That's a moment of happiness or enjoyment, but I think happiness is more about contentment of spirit, like having that restful spirit inside. That's not just restless being within yourself. When you're not restless, you're happy,
Yeah. So give us an exercise, Lori. Give us an exercise in identifying and practical application for happiness.
The next time you're somewhere you believe is exactly what you want, what you like, close your eyes and just feel it, and feel to my core, the innermost part of me, how happy am I? And then try it again when you're in the most contrary situation to what you would consider a happy situation, and close your eyes and ask yourself, truly, in the deepest part of me, how happy am I? And
hey, you still there?
Mm-hmm.
I was just making a sandwich. Okay, that made me happy. Not nice, made me happy. I'm just kidding. I think you're right. I mean, that's it. When you're in a position,
they should be.
Is that a matter of conditioning, Lori? Because if you if you identify less than ideal circumstances and you can still bring forth an inner happiness, is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, if you are in the worst situation, okay, your AC just went out and you're in traffic, or you're with the mom of a deceased child, the worst situation, it's kind of an awkward, unhappy moment. Close your eyes and say, am I happy? And if I'm Leroy, I say, am I happy? Deep in my heart, I'm a happy guy. And then open your eyes and look at the situation and say, let's raise the situation to my happy heart, instead of bringing my heart down to the situation, which you did for me, and I thank you. And that's the power of a happiness that begins inside. That you reorganize the environment and the dispositions around you to meet who you are, instead of becoming so fickle that you're a victim or a lottery winner to the environments you find yourself in. Money comes and goes, your happiness can't come and go with it. Health comes and goes, your happiness can't come and go with it.
Let me tell you, I had a conversation, and I can't tell you with whom,
Okay.
because I'd have to have their consent. Not that it's like such a high profile conversation that it requires secrecy, but I had somebody ask me, what 4 words, literally, like I'm limited, what 4 words would you apply to your life? What 4 positive words would you apply to your life? And I had to think, and this was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. And I've literally been happier every day since. I said, but here I am. Because many things...
Because you didn't understand the assignment. You wanted adjectives, I'm guessing.
Well, I'm going to put you on the naughty step. No, because in spite of everything that was wildly challenging, whether it was familial challenges, financial challenges, relationship challenges in terms of non-family that we hope to make family, in the end, but here I am. And isn't that triumph in and of itself?
Yes.
But here I am. Mm-hmm. So anyway, what 4 words would you tell us about overcoming challenge in your life? Get that silly look off your face.
This is my life.
Ooh. Resigned?
No. So
accepting?
No, it means for me, if I'm sitting with screaming around me somewhere I don't want to be, uncomfortable, or if I'm sitting in traffic and it's horrendous, I just can, and I wasn't expecting this, so I might choose another version at another time. If I would just say, this is my life. I intend to make it what I choose. This next half hour I sit in traffic.
Does that make you happy?
I think to recognize that I am anyways would bring it to the forefront in that situation. It just increases your awareness of what you already are inside.
I love it. This is my life. And in the word life, it's like, this is life.
Right.
I mean, if I was like massaging your words, what a great outlook. This is my life. Ergo, I am alive.
I still gotta live.
Hey, Lori, thanks for taking this time to chat about happiness. It made me happy just talking to you. Like, share, visit Strong Island,
and
comment.
Be happy, everybody.
Yes. Be happy.
You know what the homework is? The next time something you're in some kind of suckage, just make a choice to be happy and see what magic happens.
I love it.
All right. I love you too, brother. Until next time, everybody, farewell.
Adios.